Thanks everybody for coming today. Did I get a mover and seconder for everything before us? Moved by Councillor Samuel, seconded by the mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Seconding. So we have a recommendation with two items before us today. Staff want to speak to it? Go ahead.
Thank you. At their meeting on April 24th, the Major Sports Team Liaison Committee passed the following resolution: that staff report 2024-264 titled Major Sports Team Liaison Committee Update be received. On June 6th, the Manager of Economic Development in BRC, Councillor McCreary and Councillor Samuel met to discuss for next steps for the task force. From this meeting, it was decided that to create and maintain positive and ongoing business relationships in-person meetings would continue to be conducted with the city's current major sports teams, focusing on the team's experiences in the city and the use of facilities. On August 22nd, the chair, the director of Parks and Rec, and manager of ECDEV and BRC met with the new owners of the Brantford Titans, formerly the Bandits, with responses from the team representative showing a high degree of satisfaction with city facilities and with city staff. The new ownership expressed their interest in becoming more involved in the community to promote the franchise in the city. It was also decided that to move forward, identifying prospective leagues, that staff provide a comprehensive list of potential teams along with contact information. This is included in the report as Appendix A. Also discussed regarding prospective teams to the city was the current expansion of the Allen Cup Hockey League. The league is looking to expand by 6 to 8 teams and looking for potential franchises. As many of you know, Brantford has a long history spanning over 2 decades with Allen Cup hockey, with the Brantford Blast, who played their last game in the city in 2020. This league is identified as a good fit for the community. To move this forward, staff has recommended that a deeper dive is needed regarding current city facilities and the capacity to host new leagues of any sport, including hockey, lacrosse, and soccer. Discussions are needed with Parks and Rec staff to evaluate the requirements and constraints of current facilities and the capacity to attract new major sports teams. A list of private sports facilities was also requested and is included in the report as Appendix C. Staff has recommended discussions with owners of private sports facilities to establish interest and capacity to accommodate prospective major sports teams in the city. At the meeting on April 24th, the committee discussed the importance of the city's minor sports leagues with the direction to staff to include Brantford minor sports in the task force mandate. A list of Brantford's minor sports leagues with contact information is included in this report as Appendix C. Lastly, discussions have begun with the city's communication department to develop an investment strategy to target identified potential major sports leagues. A draft of the strategy will be provided at the next committee meeting. Okay, back to you.
It's on the floor, Council. It's on the floor. It's on the floor. It's questions and comments. Mayor. Sorry, Mayor, go ahead. Yeah, first, sorry about that.
You know, I'm looking at this, I'm considering it's kind of a scattergun approach here for all the potential teams that are out there that might want a home in Brantford. But isn't the reality here that, like in terms of soccer, we don't really have a soccer facility, outdoor soccer facility that I think would be of interest to a professional, semi-professional team, for being honest, right? I think our main draw that our major attractive facility is right now it's hockey arenas. And it strikes me that to try and have an Allen Cup Senior A team in our Civic Center during the winter, that's gonna be really difficult with the ice time the Bulldogs have, and then all the other groups that still use the Civic Center ice time. And also, we know the Wayne Gretzky facility gets awful busy as well. But it's the summer when the Civic Center is not well used, and that's lacrosse. And we have a C team here, C level team. I think lacrosse is the one that offers the most potential. So why aren't we focusing on that? Because we have the facility and it's empty in the summer, not well used.
I agree with that. I think basketball is another option.
Yeah.
There, and we do have a basketball facility on Alabama Street that we should have a look at it.
It's a beautiful fourth floor.
Yeah, and it is fully, it's a full size court, like it meets all the requirements, and it even has, already has a lot of bleachers, it has a bar area, like, if you haven't looked at it, you would be very impressed with what it is. But it's an option, and it's privately, it's not part of the state play technique, it's kept off separately. But I agree with the mayor about the scattergun approach, maybe what we should concentrate on, you know, with the hockey, maybe the basketball, maybe the lacrosse. If we concentrate on minor sports groups themselves to build them up, they will pull other groups in. If we actually started to live up to the tournament capital concept, we worked on that for sector over a long haul, for a long period, we might be better out to draw more teams in because they've recognized the kind of, if we're sort of left behind, my grandson's playing professional ball, 12 years old, and other facilities that I've been to have been pretty remarkable what other cities are doing compared to what we have. You know, I don't we have the space or the time. I'm not sure. But I'd like to see us if we could. The other thing I'd like to do, and I know this is a tough one, but I think that we could do it. We would kind of partner with the county and our sports fields and complex and opportunities. I know they're reluctant right now, but I think we could bring them in because they have more space to create these spaces. So the way I look at this is that 50 years from now, we're going to be one city or act like one city, and wherever the facilities are is irrelevant as long as they're quality facilities. And I think that would come from the grass, not from us. That would come from building up the grassroots support facilities and those organizations that are making them have more ability to draw.
Let me see if there are any other first-time speakers.
Yeah, I would say similarly. I agree with Councilor Carpenter about focusing on the other team, the younger teams, and but I do think that what you were saying too about having a focus instead of just looking at all of the teams and trying to get whoever here. I think the ones that we've talked about, like the lacrosse and things like that, I think are valuable. We're already doing a good job when it comes to hockey. But I think another thing too to be kind of considering is down the line, maybe looking at having an indoor soccer space that we could have, because I know there's the interest in that, and maybe that's when we start looking at having more soccer teams here. So yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Exactly what I was going to say. That yeah, so semi-pro teams, I agree, basketball, lacrosse, I think offer the greatest potential. In terms of minor sports, that big gap we have, and I see with my kids in grandkids in Burlington, is that indoor facility. It's baseball and soccer particularly suffer, and it's really hard to be a very attractive minor sports capital when it comes to baseball or soccer if you don't have an indoor facility for the winter practice. So I think it's become pretty obvious as other communities have these facilities, even Woodstock, right now, you know, our minor hockey communities and baseball is suffering and soccer without it.
So I think we got something of a consensus here.
And the other thing I would add to that is years ago, we had Earl Lake first got this redesigned. There was an ability, I don't know if this still exists, but we'd have to check under the municipal act, there's an ability to have the lowest tax rate possible for sports facilities. So we had the opportunity with Civic Center. We didn't exercise it because I think the direction was to run them out of business anyway. They were paying a high commercial tax rate. We could have had my belief is my memory is we could have had a lower tax rate because they're recreational. So I'd like us to investigate that. So if we do have entertain private sector involvement, we may be able to offer that a lower tax rate, which makes the business plan more feasible for an indoor facility. Sure. So ways to facilitate private sector involvement.
So I think our focus going forward, council did tell us to interact with the minor teams now, so that'll be a work item for us to look after maybe in the next quarter. I think the mayor's comment about lacrosse is a good one. Lacrosse is booming again, like it was in the 70s. And there are probably a dozen leagues now that are sort of pro or semi-pro or senior A, senior B, which would be a good fit for Civic Center or Gretzky for that matter. we've got Junior C playing at Gretzky now, we've got Titans playing at Gretzky. So again, I think part of what we need to look at is utilization rates. I don't know that we have that information yet. But there's also the biggest deficit I see is women's sports. There's a lot of women's sports that are really taking off, and they're not. God bless them. When women's sports are not attracting the same kind of crowds that the male sports are for some reason. This probably because women's sports are not as long-lived as the NHL. But I think that's another area that we really should be exploring. Women's soccer, maybe women's basketball. The women's lacrosse world women's lacrosse championships are on now with the men in Utica, New York. Right? So I think that's another aspect to look at. The other thing that we've talked about is university. They're a community partner, but they're not. And we've got facilities fine enough for them to bring their varsity team here and play times a year, maybe. We haven't gotten to that yet. And the other thing with respect to Bulldogs, I think I alluded to this early on, that I think we'll just leave interaction with the Bulldogs to Kevin rather than the rest of us. I don't think we need to lure that relationship. So,
I can handle it. I can handle it.
yes, I think you can, yeah. And you can,
My assistant counts for some.
this is recorded.
Well,
That's okay.
it's a big Bulldog fan. and
That's all positive.
It's meant to be positive.
It's all positive.
Yes, I thought so. I just reminded you of that. So I guess what we'll do then is we'll continue to fire ahead as we have been.
Raise a good point about varsity team. 25th anniversary of what was already. I think when we should be saying to them that when we go to those celebrations, okay, it's time. We want a varsity. Brantford,
Yeah.
both have already needs a varsity team. You guys,
Well,
what do we need to make that happen?
so my intent was that they do have a varsity which is centered up north, right?
Yeah.
But there's no reason they can't bring their show down here to play varsity games in the satellite campus.
Well, there's no reason why you can't have a Brantford varsity team playing the Kitchener Waterloo varsity team. I don't see a problem with that competition. I think that's healthy.
It's a good idea.
I think we should, if it's, instead of being a satellite campus, we're a campus. It's time.
Okay, good plan. So we will continue to forge ahead and do what we've been doing, meeting with these organizations in groups small enough to not constitute quorums. So minutes with them are not, our meetings are not minuted, they're not formal, and they're able to speak freely.
You know why you're doing that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The indoor soccer, as the mayor mentioned, there is groups that want to do indoor soccer that are willing, there's a lot of private sector groups that have raised the issue before. If we could find a way to make it affordable without hitting the taxpayers' pocket too deeply, I think there's an opportunity to have an indoor facility. Not the balloon one. Well, it costs a lot of money to maintain, but we can have an actual indoor facility.
Very good. Is there anything staff would like to add?
Through the chair, I was wondering about the sports dome, actually, because did the city look into that before? I thought that was being looked at, and I was going to send an email to Kim, and I just thought that is something we could do, or like London has a big sports facility, it's not the dome. And they're all sponsored right by banks or something like that. It's
Why
private.
don't you have a look at that? Since you
Well,
raised
there
it,
must be
that's an
some
excellent plan.
reports you can pass reports,
Yeah,
I will,
gather them together.
Yeah, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. It's been done.
Yeah.
and then you just need a piece of property.
Maintain it.
Yeah.
And whether it could be double as, another sport, so that soccer doesn't run all year round. Is there room for, like, we need an indoor baseball, so we don't have that.
Through the chair, somebody did develop one, but they had to pull it out because it wasn't. Yes, but they had a really nice 10,000 square foot one. So if they ever put that someplace where it's allowed, it was actually a really nice facility.
So we definitely want to get the utilization rates for everything. Arenas. To turf fields,
Yeah, I think our turf fields are in big demand already.
yeah.
That was a hole that we filled the ball in. You know, when football couldn't play here. There is an ability before, we were looked at a gymnastics, well, for example. We looked back then leasing in land, I think the rule was, it's not my memory, was that you have to 50-year lease less a day. Was the maximum you could do under the municipal act. We were looking at leasing them land for a nominal fee. That way it keep the tax rates down and then they would build the facility and they needed a 50-year less a day timeline to finance that, get mortgage money. Those are options to look at as well.
Are they in business in the fourth ward, the gymnastics?
No.
club?
They're in business, but not here, but in the county now.
Well, seeing nothing else before us today, I will bang the virtual gavel. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Mayor must have heard my voice back on the other meeting.
Okay.